Shabam. Hey everybody, welcome to Houston with a Problem. It's Friday night. It's after dark. The week that was is kind of what our Friday shows are about, right? So it was a week. We had Elon's brother selling $100 million in shares, and then Elon asking if he should sell $10 billion in shares, and apparently following through. We've got crypto pump and dump, some weird stuff happening. Graphene manufacturing group rocketed. It's over $4 now. Republicans, I saw in the chat here, Republicans are presenting legalizing marijuana, which is probably the smartest thing they've done in 50 years. If it gets legalized, we also need to let everyone out of prison who has been convicted on marijuana charges. Let them out. Just let them out. So I'm all for that. What else happening? You're seeing Shiny Shirt Week Day 5. Might be the shiniest of my shiny shirts. And shiny shirts definitely do have a very strong and dragon culture, I believe. So this is velvety and just delicious. I want to pet myself all day long with my shiny shirts. Yeah, okay. What we got here? We got Anna Rulnick says, Houston, what's up with metamaterial? Saw some bearish comments on their Facebook investor group, Just FUD. I don't know why people would be bearish on metamaterial because, I mean, analysts basically say they've got the technology and the resources to become a $10 billion a year company. I bought them for the long play. Metamaterial, GMG, and No Labs are kind of my long play tech stocks. The fact that the metamaterial also is possibly a squeeze play was just a bonus on top of what I had originally bought them for. I mean, what did we bearish on? Like, they basically have nanotechnology cornered when it comes to like material sciences and building things on very small scales on screens, glass, surfaces, all that stuff. They're going to dominate that market. Okay. People asking about you guys like to ask about my Swedish roommates, don't you? Well, just, think of beautiful blonde ladies and you're there. Yeah, I was the luckiest 18-year-old in the entire world. Okay, Justin Kappa TV. Also, any thoughts on Sundial after the board authorized ability to repurchase up to $100 million worth of shares? So, I mean, that's not that much. There's Bed Bath & Beyond's doing $1 billion. Microsoft's doing $60 billion. $100 million worth of shares isn't that much to buy back. Although, it can do a little bit. If they really want to rocket their stock, they would do it all at once. Do like tomorrow, 100 million shares buyback. But they'll probably do it over time because they don't want to pay too much for it or whatever. Okay. I see Rusty Nails trying to get me to talk about Rittenhouse again. I'm going to try not to talk about Rittenhouse this week. Sorry, Rusty. I know you're trying to bait me, but we're going to avoid that this week. Earl Honeybasket. Good evening, sir. What would be some interesting places to check out if one wanted to go metal detecting, treasure hunting along old western trails to find hidden stashes? Best regards. Look in and around ghost towns. That's the best place because the ghost towns are built near mines and people lived in settlements near mines and they would stash things in logs, under rocks, inside stuff. That's a good spot to go. Another great way to go metal detecting is if you go to like where dredges worked rivers, like big giant bucket dredges that scooped up rivers, they basically classified to get most of the rocks out of the way because there's so much flour gold that they would just all the big things would roll off into the tailings pile, and then they would get all like the sand and they get the gold out of the sand. So that many nuggets, anything bigger than like half an inch, didn't make it inside the sluice box and got knocked off all the rocks. So you can go metal detecting on some of those tailings piles, and you can find big nuggets sometimes. Those are always good places to go. But there are people that stashed, they had bags of flour gold, and they would hide them, and then, die of consumption or get shot or fall off a horse or whatever, or they never found it again because they forgot where they put it. And recently there was a big discovery in Arizona where a guy found a whole bunch of gold coins, several giant bags of gold dust, a couple old pistols and stuff. Really cool find. So I recommend that. Ooh, just in my head is starting off with the coordinates here. Scene. Google, or we didn't do any coordinates last time because we were interviewing last time. That was fun. That was, of course. I forgot to turn on Google Earth. I'm an idiot. It'll be a moment until Google Earth pops up. Forgot to make sure it was going there. Forgot to do that ahead of time. But yeah, it was awesome having the Gherkin on. You folks were fantastic. I'm glad that audio finally came through. Figured out how to make that work. And now I can host people. We can do interviews. How exciting is that? All right, where are we going? We're going to California. We're going to... What the heck is that? It's what are you? Is that a spaceship? What the heck? Is that a boat? Got a boat? We got some sort of alien spaceship pond thing. Little foundation. Justin, what is this place? What are the tanks for? I have no idea. What is this place? We're in Mojave. We're in California. We are Linney, Indian Wells. Okay, I've been to Indian Wells. There's an airport there. Ridgecrest, Ceres Valley. Huh. That's Death Valley? No. Yeah, Death Valley. That's Death Valley. Okay. And then that's Amargosa Valley. Amargosa Valley there. Okay. So what the heck? What is that place? How'd you find this place? What is it? What do they want? What do they want with us? It's really weird. Is that water? Looks like it might be water, but why would you put open water in such a dry place? Weird. And then why is there a boat? And they say they're building a second one here. Some sort of weird art project. Dude, weird place. I'm going to go check this out. Okay. It is how many miles east of Linney? We are at... Oops. Nope. Clear. We are at about 12 miles east-northeast of Linney. Interesting. Okay. That's a place to check out in the future. I dig it. It's weird. For crying out loud. I bet there's 4 questions down. There's someone saying, what's wrong with your intro? Yeah, there it is. Beans Brigade Gaming. Houston, turn off your intro. Okay. It's all right. You guys think it's funny? Okay. Ta-da. Now I center my chi. We get, where are we going here? All right, that was Western Ghost Towns one. If you want to go metal detecting, go to places no person has ever been. Sort of. If you want to go metal detecting for like gold nuggets, that's a good idea, like virgin gold nuggets. But if you want to go metal detecting for treasure, you have to go exactly where people have been. Old Civil War battlefields, mining camps, logging camps, burned down buildings. You find all sorts of cool stuff in those places. There's a ghost town on the island I live on. Might as well bring up the Google Earth again. Called Yama, and it was a Japanese community that supported one of the big mills that were here. So I get the exact spot. I can't remember which side of the water it's on. Yama. Hammer down. Yeah. Okay, so Yama was a Japanese village that was back here in the forest that obviously just February of 1942, when all the Japanese were interned, was abandoned. There was a big giant mill that was stationed on this pond here, and they supported the mill town that was here. But recently, they started excavating sites out here, and they've got community volunteers that are metal detecting. They're finding all sorts of cool trinkets and silver bits and glasses and stuff that was left behind, like tin cups and cool little things. So you go to like places that are ghost towns, and you can find some really cool things. Yeah, so I highly recommend it. Metal detecting's fun. It's a whole nerdy thing to do. But man, it's really cool finding stuff. You're like, oh, I found a weird bullet casing. I found a pin from Girl Scouts from 1941. I found, you find all sorts of cool stuff, and I dig it. I nerd out on it. I know guys that like do the beaches in Florida after spring break and come back with $50,000 in jewelry that's been lost in the sands because Instagram models and college girls are just wearing tennis bracelets out in the water and dropping them. It's not a bad hobby. It's a hobby that pays for itself. That's the best kinds of hobbies. Like that's what prospecting rules, because you get to go for the hike, you get to go camping, and you get to have it pay for itself in the end. Why not, right? Okay. The real Mr. Fantastic. How long before Ryan Cohen rains flesh-burning hellfire down the hedge funds and igniting the MOA, sending us poorers into the full financial orbit? Soon. They're announcing whatever crypto NFT thing is before January 1st. It's fourth quarter. That's when Loopring says that their business partner is going to announce their marketplace. So yeah. Beans Brigade Gaming also said Beans Brigade Gaming. Blah. Loopring pushing all times high. I am too late to buy a ton. Well, I didn't get in on Loopring, and I'm probably still could get on it and go from there. What I did was I got another little kick from Shib. I dumped my Shib and I got a whole bunch of Saitama Inu, and that's doubled since yesterday. So I'm up about like $1,500 instead of Inu. Now it's like $3,000. So that's what I did. And they tomorrow are announcing their like official launch into exchanges. So I'm hoping that it 10x's, and then I'll find the next shitcoin to come along. The thing about these crypto dudes is that they're very faddish. So if you find a shitcoin that's worth, it's like 10 zeros until you get to the first digit, you can get that sucker, get like billions or trillions of them, and sit on it until somebody gets excited about it, and then it just starts shaving zeros, and you start gaining tens, hundreds, thousands of dollars, and not too shabby. So I will gladly speculate on that all day long. If I had piles, if I had jumped in on Saitama a month ago and one of you folks were like, get Saitama, I'd be up like 30 grand right now. But I didn't think about that, and I didn't do it. So I'm late to the game. Gotta get early to the game. Gotta get those shit coins really early and go from there. Yeah. Fried Tater Explosion. Aloha from Wahoo. I loved your discussion with Girk. As a regular viewer of both you guys, it was a GME crossover event of the year. I hope you continue to bring on the occasional guest. Rock on. I probably will. I might try to do 1 or 2 a month if I can. Get somebody on and we'll shoot the shit and see what's on their minds and whatever theories are run around in their head. It's really nice to get feedback. I love being able to like feedback and give and take. It makes me happy. Ryan heard Mark Cohodes in a space call yesterday telling AMC Apes that AMC could make an NFT dividend, remove itself from the DTC, and start trading on zero. I don't think so. the state that they're registered in, they are not allowed to offer a dividend of any kind until they're profitable and rid of debt. So they can't, they until they get rid of like their $5 billion in debt, they can't offer any dividends of any kind. So they may be SOL until they figure out a way to discharge that debt or pay it off or whatever. I mean, theoretically, a lot of companies could do that, and there's discussions, there's the rumblings, rumors that GME is going to do that. I wouldn't doubt if an OTC stock attempts that. The fact that Loopring coin effectively acts like the shares of Loopring itself kind of makes them already in that realm. I don't see why companies can't just be like, hey, buy our crypto, whatever, and that's the share of our company, and that's how we're going to log everything as being a blockchain, and none of you jerkwads can short us. So if I were starting a company, a tech company or something, that's definitely how I'd do it. Screw these IPOs. Just offer some sort of crypto sale, and people can buy it and have it in their wallets, and you can issue dividends that way. Make the dividends different crypto. I don't know. Put my Lambo order in early to beat the rush. And I think Mark is just wrong on that whole idea. Oh shoot, I just reset. That was a good question by Nobody Z. And where'd it go? I missed it. I lost it. Nobody Z. Where'd you go, buddy? There it is. Why do so many people on Wall Street bets have so much money to lose? After buying a call, aren't you risking only the premium you paid for the contract? Why lose $100K or more? Because they bought $100K in contracts and then failed to exercise them, and then whoop, gone. Or they bought $100K in contracts, went and they panicked and sold, and they lost a whole bunch of money. I don't know how they have so much money to lose. A lot of these guys play with the type of money that if I had that cash, I would just stick it in a Vanguard and live the most luxurious life I could possibly live. I mean, maybe they like playing the game, but I'm all about hustling until you make it, and then when you make it, you can just turn your brain off and sit in a hammock or something. That seems like the way to go. No Revolution 105. What's the point of owning an NFT if it can just be photoshopped? Exactly. I mean, there's different kinds of NFTs, but the NFTs people are paying for, the artwork, is money laundering. That's what they're doing. You are some guy in a high rise in Russia, in Moscow, and your entire industry is using phishing techniques, phishing emails to get grandma to click on something, and she downloads a virus and it locks her computer. And now grandma cannot get her computer unlocked. She cannot see pictures of her grandkids anymore unless she sends a Bitcoin or whatever to your Russian mafia. And you've got some very nice instructions that tell grandma how to, find Ethereum or Litecoin or whatever it is you're scamming them out of, and make a wallet and do all these things and spend their money on that, and then they send it to you. Well, now you've got all these legally gotten coins, and you got to do something with it. So you have an NFT of a monkey face that you own, and you pay yourself for it, get the monkey face. The monkey face now has a represented value of hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever, and you manage to wash all those coins into a legit sale, and now you got the same wealth, but theoretically doubled since you have this thing that's worth more. I think that's a lot of what is going into NFTs is money laundering, essentially. And that's probably what's driving the value of them. But there's going to be, certain things with NFTs that have a more practical use, like the possibility of GameStop making video games and NFTs that they can be resold on the market when you're done playing with them. Yeah, why not? Okay, there's actually a couple of super chats that I missed. I guess were happening before I even came on. Keith Welch, thank you. And Gordy, any hope for AMC after Girk interview? I mean, AMC is still shorted. But like my enthusiasm each day when I read the news that comes out of the AMC board, it's just, it doesn't inspire excitement or hope. You know, ooh, they're selling popcorn. When I go to the movie theater, I don't buy popcorn. Why? Because it's something that costs 5 cents. They want to charge me $7 for, and I'm not going to buy it. I don't buy popcorn at the movie theater. It's too expensive. And then they're going to have home delivery for popcorn. Cool. I've got Orville Redenbachers in the cabinet. I can just put it in a machine and go boop, boop, boop. And for 50 cents, have a bowl of popcorn. I don't know why I would want cold ass popcorn delivered to me. Doesn't make any sense to me that like people are like, oh, so excited. These are not the things that are going to make your business strong. I want to hear about how you're going to pay off your $5 billion in debt. I want to hear about how the board foregoed cash bonuses this year in order to make the company stronger. I want to hear about how they're holding their shares and not selling. Those are the things that make me excited about like the future prospects of the company, but they just aren't doing what they need to be doing, man. They're you know, oh, I gotta sell shares because I gotta live. Dude, you made a $20 million bonus. You don't have to sell anything. I gotta diversify. You made $20 million you can diversify with. It's okay. You will make, what? 1.5 million a year and basically annuities off that. Easy peasy, man. You got life made. So that's something you can retire on. Yeah. Okay. And Brian Romero. Hi. Auction house after MOAS. Can you give us all the info? Oh, you look like for auctions, like how to buy a place? Oh, okay. So there's a few things. There's sometimes bank-owned ones. Let's go there and go there. Oh, got to turn that on, don't I? So, whoops. Why didn't... Oh, sorry. I may have just screwed up using Google. Getting Chrome to work. There we go. Okay, which one are we on? We are on NASA. NASA, Google Earth. There we go. Want that one? No, not that one. The wrong one. Where is Chrome? Oh, that one. There we go. There we go. That's the one I wanted. Okay. Sorry. I am a technical wizard, as you know. Auction.com. So this will give you a lot of homes that are facing bank foreclosure. You can search like Orange County, California. Boom. And this will give you, there might be hundreds of homes here that are facing foreclosure auctions. And they oftentimes will list things like opening bid. So here, this house that's in Irvine, Germander Way, the opening bid is $580,000. So that's probably what's owed on the note. Is $580,000. Some of them are much cheaper. These are really expensive houses. Some of them are millions here. But like this one is San Juan Capistrano. It's a house in San Juan Capistrano, even if it's a dump, it's probably worth a couple of $1,000. $178,000 minimum bid. So what they often do is these foreclosure auctions will be quite literally on the steps of the county courthouse at like 9 a.m. on a Friday. And people show up. You got to have cash or a cashier's check. And they bid. And whoever wins has until like 4 p.m. to give the cash over and buy the house. And it's pretty straightforward. It's quick. And sometimes these homes, what is left to be paid is really cheap. If they can be seizures sometimes by law enforcement, U.S. Marshals. You can go to this is auction.com. There's also it used to be govsales.gov. I think they changed their website though. Yeah, govsales.gov changed their website, and I can't remember GovSales. Let me do that. Auctions and sales. So yeah, they changed the way. They're just USA.gov. So they've got federal government sales and federal auctions on this one. And you can see GSA auctions of real estate, airplanes, whatever, U.S. Treasury auctions, stuff that got seized by the IRS, U.S. Marshal Service, stuff that was seized in criminal stuff. And it won't just be real estate, but it will be jewelry, cars. You know, you want like a Maybach. The great place to get a cheap Maybach is U.S. Marshal Service. And so you can go to these ones, and then there's individual county sales that can happen. So, you know, you could have something weird. Someone got evicted from their home because they were in HOA and they weren't paying their HOA fees. So now the homeowners association has to sell the house, and they'll be sold probably at auction on the courthouse steps in the county. And you might only find it as a little tiny weird legal blurb in the back of a newspaper. So in the classifieds area, there's like a government announcement section, and they'll post things. They might post arrests, they might post divorces, but they'll say things like home auction, you know, November 19th at 9 a.m. Westminster County Courthouse steps, cash only, and there'll be these little blurbs. That's the only blurb you'll get. You won't see it on the internet anywhere. In 2009, 2010, there was this family, the Maestros, that kind of had ran a real estate Ponzi scheme in Seattle, and they fled. They put a bunch of jewelry on the wife's fingers, like $20 million in jewelry, and they hopped on a plane and flew to France and fled the nation. And their house got seized and went up for auction. They had a $10 to $20 million home on the water in Medina next door to Bill Gates. And that home sold at auction for $200,000. So somebody picked up like a $20 million house for $200,000 cash and definitely made out like a bandit. So those auctions can work really well. There's another great site I like to use, bidforassets.com. And they'll contract with a lot of like county foreclosures. So you can go to county tax sales, and they list counties. Generally, most of them are in the western United States. I don't know if they've really done much on the eastern United States yet, but so they do it by date. So we got, you know, this place in Minnesota, Pierce County, Washington, Plumas County, California, Berks County, King County, Washington. That'll be a big one. It's a tax sale. Another Pierce County assessor's sale. And then December's got a whole bunch of Washington ones. They have the contract for like Alameda County, San Francisco County, Santa Clarita County, LA County. They do some stuff with Hawaii as well. And those ones are usually the California ones are mostly like March, April. A lot of the Washington ones are in the winter. So if you want to get a house, like King County here, this is the King County, it's a resale. So this might be ones that didn't sell. But they'll have auction folders. This will list the list of APNs. So these are the parcel numbers, and you got to do your homework on them. Like they do not do any of the work for you. So these are probably pieces of crap land, like weird slivers and easements and stuff that aren't worth anything that are being resold. But when they do the big sales, you'll see things like $30,000, $100,000. It might be a house in Redmond, Washington that's worth $1 million. And there's $100,000 in back taxes they have to pay, and that's the minimum bid for that auction. Probably a better one. Let's look at Pierce County here, because I bet Pierce County has. Go back, do it. Go back. I know it's so hard. Do it. No, keep going backwards. You can go backwards. You have the technology. There you go. Pierce County Treasurer Tax Foreclosure. So we'll go down to auction folders. Let's see here. What we got. There we go. These are some real properties. So here's one, $102,000. That one's sold. Oh, we passed the date already. Huh. So this one went for $102,000. It is land value improvements. So there's a house on it. It's probably a small lot. Looks like in Tacoma. Parcel info. Click here. Where is it? Here we go. Land. Oh, map. That's even better. So the oftentimes they'll give you like links to the GIS websites and stuff. Oh, we got a little waterfront one on a lake. Even better. See, that's a nice little lot. Or is that like Lake Taps or something? Yeah, so you got a waterfront lot, a tiny little pond or lake. And where are we? We're in South Pierce County. Show me. Upload, you GIS slow piece of crap. Okay, so this is Pierce County. That's Tacoma is here. So we're in the southern part, close to Thurston County. So a little bunch of little lakes down here. So yeah, you know, get a nice house on a lake for $100,000. Not too shabby, especially in a place where the average home is probably $500,000. Yeah. So there you go. There's lots of cool little ways of doing that. I should make like a list or something of different auction sites for people. But and you can be lucky, especially with the courthouse ones. You know, if you're in the northern climates and there's courthouse auctions in like November, December, January, it is miserable outside, and they're literally having these auctions in the pissing rain. It's 35 degrees outside, 9 in the morning on the courthouse steps. The sun hasn't even come up yet, and if it's gross outside, people just aren't going to get out of bed and go. I like to do like car auctions in the wintertime because they're gross and rainy, and people aren't going to go on a Saturday morning if it's really gross and rainy outside and stand out there to bid on a car. So you can get some cool cars for pennies on the dollar and then flip them. It's been a lot more online auctions because of COVID, but I'm hoping we get back to doing things in real life so that I can start getting stuff cheap in the wintertime. Yeah. So there you go. There's auctions for you. Brian Romero. Okay, and oh goodness, I'm missing some super chats because I get chit-chatting. Pastor Blunt around. Apparently, metamaterial max shares on the Canadian exchange are converting to metamaterial after earnings, possibly reducing the float. Bullish. Yeah, there's like 100 million on the Canadian exchange and 150 million or something on the US exchange. So they're, that's fantastic. Why not? If you're Canadian or you have access to the Canadian markets, you might be able to pick those suckers up for a deal. Sebastian Torres, Houston, you are amazing, and your brain is bay. What's the story of Shiba? I do think Shiba still has a chance to get some crazy arbitrage going when they're finally listed on Robinhood. Every week we're like, oh, tomorrow's the day Robinhood's going to release wallets to start SHIB, and everyone's been wrong so far. So I'm just not listening to those predictions anymore. But I think there's probably going to be some serious arbitrage. And I wouldn't doubt if Robinhood spent a good chunk of the summer buying up a lot of Shiba Inu when it was really, really cheap, or even last winter. And so that when they do release it onto their platform, people will be buying from them at a huge profit, because this stuff's gone up, 60 million % since last Christmas. Not as much as Hokkaido coin went up 957 billion % in the last 9 days. You heard that right. 957 billion % in the last 9 days. My buddy Matt was tooling around looking at who's exchanging what on shitcoins and doing the Etherscan wallet checks, and found a guy who had $95.7 billion in Hokkaido Inu coins in his wallet, and was making some big whale moves with those coins. It's a 202 day investment for him to go from, I think it was one Ethereum is what he bought all those coins with. It was 5 trillion coins, now worth $97 billion. He's now the 10th richest person in the world on a $3,000 investment. Not too shabby at all. Jeffrey Schaefer, Houston. You should make a checklist by your monitor that you go through before stream 1. Stream 1, turn off intro. 2, turn off intro. 3, turn off intro. And your real Ortiz, turn on intro. Turn on intro. Turn on intro. Oh, I hate you guys so much. When I say that, I mean I hate myself. Okay. Let's get back into the chat here. Let's get back in there. Because it's Friday. We can do weird stuff on Fridays. There's no market tomorrow. Hoshi Gaming, Houston. Are donations to schools tax deductible? I work at a school and I really want the kids to have a nice big green area and enjoy their school for years instead of going to public parks. It is possible. I would check with the district. Like we have, there's a nonprofit that supports the local public schools in my community. It's called like the Bainbridge Education something or other. BEST is the acronym. Bainbridge Education Student blah blah Teacher blah Association. I don't know. And you would technically make the donation to them. That's the nonprofit, and then they would do stuff with the school, kind of like the Boosters Club that you might have for sports teams. It's a way of augmenting that stuff. Like I would love to actually make the baseball field at my high school good. We played on such a garbage field, and it's been a garbage field for 40 years. And I would like to have a nice baseball field for them where people aren't like twisting their ankles in molehills and stuff out in the outfield. And you aren't going to take a weird grounder to the nuts or face because you basically bouncing off of rocks constantly. It's like one of the things I'd like to do is I would love to make a decent baseball field. Plus, I play the 4th of July Old Timers baseball game on that field, and people are like breaking noses and things on grounders because that is such a horrible field. But it'd probably have to be through like Boosters Club or through whatever education association that's for your particular district. Yeah. Okay. So that's how I do it. Fried Tater Explosion. We need an all intro episode. I should make a Houston's intro. Like people do like 10 hours of Yule log. I'll just do Houston's intro for 10 hours YouTube channel. You guys can just watch it again and again and again and again and again and again, over and over and over, and get all the intros you'd ever wanted. Nick Callis, your guess is cool, but I think you're right about the dividend thingy. He's a technicals guy and only too into numbers. Possibly. He's talking about the liability problem that GME may face giving out an NFT dividend. I don't quite see it. I think the precedent has been set that you can give out one of these NFT dividends, and GameStop can afford high-powered attorneys that will slap that stuff down and get Rule 11 sanctions on whoever sues them. So I think they can present an NFT dividend, and they've got precedent now with Overstock. The courts can go, yeah, you can do that because you can make a dividend out of anything. Like you could make, I don't know, baseballs with a logo of your business on it and give that away as a dividend, and it counts. You can do keychains. You can do tickets to sporting events, whatever. You can make dividends whatever you want. And so why can't you make it a weird esoteric crypto thing and give that to people through some sort of medium? I still think it's a very real possibility, especially that Wu-Tang stuff. You read that thing and you go, yeah, I think Ryan Cohen has something to do with the Wu-Tang stuff happening, and Pow Dow or whatever it is that's working on it. Okay. Houston, what's the most mad you have ever been? It's pretty hard to get me really mad. I'm trying to think of the last time I was really just pissed off. And I was working at a bar, and we had an outside table area, and it was summer evening, beautiful summer evening, and this guy just started yelling the N-word really loud. And I went out and I was like, shut up. He's like, what are you going to do? There aren't any N-words around here. And I told him that if he uttered one more word, he could leave either over the balcony or through the front door. Pick one. And then he started crying. And then a group of like 10 black guys came in, and then he was terrified. And I was just sat there and I was like, say it, say it, say it now, say it, you pathetic little racist, say it, just say it. And he just cried a whole bunch and kept drinking his beer. But I was pretty ready to just like throw him over the railing, which would have been a good like 20-foot drop. That's probably the last time I got truly pissed off. I think before that, it takes a lot to really push me over the edge. And usually it's racist involved. I had somebody say something really racist to my sister once, and everything just kind of went white, and I had to be held back from just murdering the dude. So yeah, don't be racist around me, and I won't lose my shit. Yeah, that's kind of the only way that really happens. Rusty now asks, did Houston sell his AMC and put it in GME after Pickle Guy podcast? The world wants to know. I still have AMC, but my GME investments are way bigger. GME is going to pop off in a way that AMC and others won't necessarily have the chance to do. If you think about it right now, AMC has 10 times the float of GME. Right, so there's 10 times the float over here of GME. So if we're thinking if they both are in the same position and it pops off, the price of GME is going to be 10 times higher than AMC. That's if they're equally shorted and everything. We're not counting fundamentals or the board or anything like that. Right now, the price of GME is not 10 times more than AMC, so GME is technically the cheaper buy, if that's the case. If GME is trading at $400 a share, probably be pretty even, but it's at half that right now, which makes it a 50% deal on AMC in regards to the size of the floats. So I think GME is just the better buy right now over AMC on that regard. Not counting the fact that I'm not happy with the things the board and Adam Aaron have been doing, but yeah, that's. If everything's going to pop, then you might as well have the one that pops the biggest, right? That's what I'm thinking. Focus on that. Bree W or Bray. Bruh. I finally caught a live show. Wondering if you have looked into Crypto Safe Moon. Never heard of it, so I've not looked into it. But I ever since last end of May when I dumped all my regular crypto and just went into shitcoins, I've been doing so much better. Man, shitcoins, they shave some zeros and you're up thousands of dollars, and then you can do it again. Pure speculation. That's what I've been working on. So I'll look up where Safe Moon is. We'll look at that. Oh, got a super chat. DEA got that dope. Can you explain how smashing crystals creates electricity? Could it be a sustainable power source? I think what we're talking about is when you break bonds in crystals. So you can smash them, and a lot of crystals have what are called covalent bonds, where you've got the nucleus of one atom, a nucleus of another atom, and they both have what would have an electron that orbits that atom, and orbits an atom over here. And when they bond, a free electron kind of disappears in the matrix, and then one electron acts as the electron that orbits both of those atoms. So diamonds are a perfect covalent bond. They're in this kind of octahedral triangular shape, and every single solitary connection point on those carbon atoms bonds with something else, and they share the electrons. So in some of those things, when you smash them and you break those bonds, those free electrons have to go somewhere, and that's how you can get a charge out of that stuff. I don't think the charge is enough to like really capture, so I don't think it would be a sustainable power source. I have to look into it more, but And it necessarily wouldn't be sustainable because to get crystals, you got to mine it from the earth or grow them yourself, which takes a lot of energy to do. So, if you got to mine crystals, mining crystals isn't necessarily environmentally safe. You have a lot of like hippies that will get their quartz crystals or their, I don't know, malachite or whatever. And those stuff are often mined in the same like blood diamond areas where slaves and abused people are mining those resources. And they're just pulling out pretty crystals and they're shipping them off to rock shops for hippies to buy and put under their pillow and, pretend it makes them fertile or sleep better or whatever. It's just as brutal an industry as anything else. I think it's better to go find your own crystals than pay for mined ones oftentimes. Okay, so gotta people just can't shut up about my farting up the intro all the time. I just don't hit the button that just turns it off so that when I change screens, the intro doesn't come back. And I just get talking and I forget to click that stupid thing. It bothers me. But I'm glad you folks find it entertaining. Crisley, thoughts on the media covering up the Evergrande collapse? I don't know if they're covering it up or if people just don't understand it. It's happening, elsewhere. Like it's not in their minds. They're not really contemplating that there are banks in Europe and USA and Canada and Japan that essentially gave billions of dollars to the Chinese real estate market and will never get a penny back. Evergrande kind of paid off some of their loans this week. What was due, but they had to do it by selling off of their like private airplane fleet. So if they're liquidating in order to pay off this month's loans, they're not gonna be lasting much longer, because that means they're gonna have to liquidate land holdings soon. If they liquidate land holdings, it's going to take down the entire real estate market even more in China. So not a good sign. And you have to think about also, it's not just these Chinese real estate companies that are tanking. There are $8 trillion with a T, $8 trillion in bonds that are from municipalities, small towns, prefectures. You've got, they wanted to build nice roads and have a convention center and put in a hospital and have a train station and an airport. They sold trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in bonds. A lot of those bonds are purchased by outside funds and institutions. And these towns don't have the cash to pay those bonds back either. And especially if land value drops, then cash resources for a lot of these places are going to dry up. And so, you're looking at what? $8 trillion in foreign bonds that just might never get paid. I would not want to be someone holding that. I'd be selling Chinese bonds right now. Be like, I'm out. Someone else buy them. Take care of them. You be holding the bag. It's like a game of hot potato at this point. I would not want to be holding Chinese bonds of any kind in the next year. Nick Callis, why shouldn't we direct register our shares? Actually, I know why. I just wanted to be the guy asked today. You can direct register them if you want to. I'm not going to. That's why. Yeah. I'm in it to sell, man. I want my cash. I want my piles of cash. Protege Son, besides Tesla, who do you think are a couple of the most interesting people not many know enough about? Well, Alexander Humboldt is pretty amazing. And we don't really talk about him much, but like 100 years after his birth, there was like world fairs and stuff celebrating him. He's the one to kind of put into the forefront of society's mind the fact that humans have an impact on the environment. Before, it never occurred to us that we impacted the environment. there was a very European-centric way of looking at nature where nature was wieldy and cruel, and you had to tame it and put in nice little gardens and lawns and do all these things. And Humboldt showed that by changing the environment, you change the environment. He was able to point out that, there was this lake in Venezuela that was a beautiful lake, had lots of water, and they cleared all the jungle and put in farm fields, and the lake just vanished. And they're like, why the hell our water source just went away? Because the temperature around that lake skyrocketed because there was no more trees offering shade. And those trees stored a lot of water and helped keep that water slowly seeping into the lake. And when they cut down the trees, they ended up with flash floods, and then it destroyed the soils, and it just washed everything away. And then the sun would come out and just bake everything. And the evapotranspiration rate went up and the lake levels dropped. And he was able to point out, like, hey, by changing the environment, you change the environment. And that really, like, people had no idea. And he did some cool stuff too with bioregions. So, he looked at like Northern Europe. You got these short little trees. It gets cold. Trees don't grow very tall, and you might have like these weird little hardy conifers. But you can go to the tropics. You go to Ecuador at the equator and climb up a mountain, and you get to 14,000 feet, and you have the same kind of plants living at 14,000 feet, and it looks a lot like Norway. And Alexander Humboldt went, I wonder if climate is what drives these plants to look the way they do. And it's kind of a precursor to Darwinian theories of evolution. Like, you've got the same constraints at different latitudes and different elevations. They can mirror each other, so you're gonna get plants and animals look kind of similar. And he kind of brought that to the forefront. People went, oh my gosh. Not so much an inventor as he was just kind of a great observer. That's one example for you. I'll think of another one if I can. Oh, Ryan, yeah, sorry. People super chat before I start my stream. I have a hard time. It takes me a while to get to you guys. Did I miss anybody else in here? Got DEA. I got... Oh, you guys and your jokes. You little jokesters, you. Okay. Master Bilbo, Adam Aaron, don't be very concerned when you see me selling off my shares. Ryan Cohen says, should I hold or hodl? Kinda, yeah. I mean, hold, man. Hold. BTW brand, Houston is so sour on popcorn, I bet he doesn't like avocado toast as well. I mean, if someone gives it to me, eat it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to eat avocado toast. I like avocado and guacamole as an accoutrement to something else that's also flavorful. Just avocado on toast, meh. Does not tickle my fancy. After hearing Gherkin's thoughts on crypto dividend, have you changed your thoughts on it? Not really. I still think that there's a dividend coming. I think that they've spent the last 8 months working on this, and there's something in there that's going to be a little more diabolical than just creating a marketplace for exchanging skins in video games. I think it's going to be a little bigger than that. A little more. That's what I'm holding out for, and that's what in my heart it's saying. There's something bigger. There's something bigger. All right. E-Rock says, personally, I wouldn't dismiss Mark Cohodes. It's personal for him. Just saying. I'm sure that there's something personal with the hedge funds that he's got, but I don't think he's quite got. I don't know how to put it. I don't think he's got quite the right idea yet. I think he's kind of dancing around it. He knows that there's a squeeze coming. He knows that there's a big play, but he's kind of speculating in a way that I don't think tracks. Like, AMC doesn't have the same options available to them that GameStop does, because GameStop has cash in the bank, and that's a big deal. Having cash in the bank and no debt is a really, really big deal and gives you a lot more opportunities to tinker in ways that other folks don't. You start to act sort of like a SPAC in that way. If you got billions in cash, you can acquire things, do R&D, all sorts of stuff. So they've got a lot more ammo in their gun than AMC does in that way. Sometimes the same questions go boom, boom, boom. Capsicum. Have I said that right? Capsicum girl. Houston, happy birthday. How high do you think GMG could go long term? Very high. If their battery tech becomes the dominant battery tech, because it's going to be 10 times better than what lithium is. If what their laboratory batteries have shown, they'll replace the entire lithium market, which means, no need to overthrow Bolivia, no need to overthrow Afghanistan, no need to invest in these very wasteful lithium mines that take a lot of carbon to burn to get the lithium out. And you have graphene, which is just carbon, you can get it anywhere, and very small amounts of aluminum, which you can get out of recycling pop cans at this point. And I think that they're going to dominate the battery market if this tech holds up the way that their lab results have claimed. So they've got this big factory that they're building, and you don't quite get investments from big groups like Bosch, and if your tech isn't that promising. So I do think that they have a chance to get really, really, really big, and they may license their tech, and so you see factories and other companies building the same things. Then all of a sudden GMG is getting 2 cents off of every battery that's sold or something, and collecting money that way. That's kind of the business model of metamaterial. Is they won't necessarily make a lot of the stuff. They'll license that tech to Samsung or to Sony or Toshiba or whatever, and then those groups will use that technology and give them a kickback every time they do it. Or they can sit there and act as a patent troll and wait for Apple or Sony or someone to use their tech without asking, and then you just sue them and you get a gigantic windfall in the end. Kind of like that windfall on the wireless headsets that Cost won against Apple a few weeks ago and sent Cost stock up like 80%. So those, these patent troll models can work really well that way. Oh, Trevor Schwab, can you explain how Girk's future rollover theory works? How I won't do as well as he does. I know that for sure. So basically what they did is they've got this pattern for the last year and change, from when Ryan Cohen bought into GameStop, which was August of last year, I think, is when he bought in, sometime last summer of last year. And they're able to show that in regular intervals, based upon T35 dates and rollover dates of futures contracts that pair with monthly options, that there's these certain spikes that happen at certain periods, and these spikes will happen due to options or futures contracts, and then T35 later you get another little spike as people have to fulfill those failure to delivers. And so there's 2 big yearly contracts, yearly options chains that come up, one in December, one in January. And then there's this one that's coming here next week, the third Friday of the month. Next week was the 19th. Yeah. And he's predicting that there's going to be some gamma happening the couple of days after the 19th, a couple of trading days before Thanksgiving. And so his idea is you buy the weekly. So you buy the weekly contracts following that date, and you should get some gamma on it, and you can make some money off that and sell. And when you do, you take half of it and you wait and you buy the weekly contract in December, right around the time that that yearly, monthly, whatever is going to expire, and you could have it skyrocket from that gamma. And then you take the other half and you buy February 18th contracts. And you do that from both November and December sales. You buy a bunch of February 18th, and then you take the other half of your December wins and you do it for your January one when the other yearly contracts expire. And so when you get your wins off your January contracts, you dump a bunch more into February 18th and you exercise them. And if a lot of people do that, it will force not only the gamma squeeze from the expiration of the January contracts, but then you just double down and you force them to look for a whole bunch of contracts for February a month early, spiking the price even more. So I hope I explained that eloquent enough. I'm sure there might be a Dan in here from Gherkin's Tube that can go, no, you idiot, you did it wrong. It's more like this. But that's the best way that I can explain it for you. Sleepy Vampire, D.B. Cooper, fact or fiction? I mean, whether it's his name or not, I think it's probably fiction. But there was somebody who called themselves D.B. Cooper that held a plane hostage. That happened. D.B. Cooper was Loki. Yeah. Houston, is that a Versace shirt? I don't think so. I think it's just some 1970s brand. Nah, it's not Versace. Taking grounders to the nuts builds character. Yeah. Woo. That testicular torsion, it builds character. Questions about crypto. That Hokkaido price glitch. Its market cap shows over $1.9 quadrillion. Oh, that's awesome. Everyone can say like, "Hey, I was worth $1 trillion today. I was the richest person in the entire world." Matt Daynard, where can I find the DD on the Wu-Tang stuff? Definitely going to be in Superstonk or RGME. I'm sure you can search it, or someone will send you a link or something. It's all over. Gherkin is wrong. Gherkin is right. Gherkin is wrong. Gherkin is right. Yeah. All right. Thoughts on Naked Shares moving to an electric vehicle company. That's probably an excellent play for them. So they're gobbling up or being gobbled up by a Chinese electric car manufacturer. They've got a couple of street vehicles and a couple of like farm side-by-side ATV like things. They're all electric. And they're one of two electric car companies that have, what's the name of this type of semiconductor? But they make their own semiconductor that regulates the motors and batteries and stuff. And Tesla's the other company that has this, other than having to get it from a third party. So they've got some patent on this tech, and you know, they make really cheap electric cars. I mean, you can get an electric car from them for like $3,000. Now those ones are probably the farm ones, the side by sides, but they'll still have like blinkers and headlights and stereos and air conditioning and all that stuff. So if they can get those vehicles to USA safety standards, put an airbag in them and have, you know, side impact bars and whatnot, it'll up the price a little bit, but they can bring a town vehicle to people that, you know, they need a grocery getter and you want to buy for $10,000, and it gets the equivalent of, I don't know, 200 miles per gallon based on electric charge. I think there's a big window for it. And it's currently the cheapest electric car company available. We just saw Rivian IPO, and it's the first IPO in a while that didn't tank right after initial public offering. So there's a couple of options there for Naked, and they're going from like making makeup and clothes to electric cars. So that's quite the switcheroo. It's kind of like, so remember Torchlight became metamaterial, or they merged, became metamaterial. Prior to Torchlight being an oil company, it was some company that made stripper poles you installed inside of your home. So they went from a stripper pole company, acted like a SPAC, and became an oil company. So somebody wanted their NASDAQ listing, and so they became an oil company called Torchlight. And then maybe it was something else before that. So there's, these SPAC-like mergers happen a lot where people, they've got some sort of listed stock. That listing is very valuable for marketing purposes, and you want to become a different kind of company. Ba-ba-bum. I think I covered that stuff already. Sorry, I've got to scroll and do my quick reading if I can to find the good questions here, because I've answered some of these a few times over. Jonathan Deal, Houston, I understand your agreement about GME going higher because of the smaller float. What if AMC was 10 times more shorted than GME? Would they be more equal then? Maybe. But I don't think they're 10 times more shorted, because remember, they had those convertible bonds become shares. So their float increased 10 times back in January. And that's one of the issues with trying to gauge just how much AMC is shorted, is that they had so many shares get created all at once from those convertible bonds. And yeah, now that their shares bouncing around, that's hard to gauge exactly what they're, how much they're naked, or how much they're naked shorted. Mike Almaser, Houston, quick question. If a star that weighed 1 pound turned into a black hole, now eats a star that weighed 1 pound, should they disappear? Are you talking about like mini black holes? Mini black holes are theorized. We never found one. And they'd be terrifying if they did, because any matter that got within the little tiny itty bitty teeny tiny event horizon that mini black hole create would consume and make that event horizon, exponentially larger. So it'd gobble up everything that went through its path and make more and more of a black hole. So if a little mini black hole came along into our atmosphere, it would just start getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger with everything that it touched. And it would probably happen in an exponential cycle. So we wouldn't really notice it at first. Then one day it's like double, 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 double. And then the Earth is just a black hole. Yeah. So, yeah, black holes only gain mass, really. There is Hawking radiation, but we've never really seen Hawking radiation evidenced happen. So we're kind of, yeah. we're kind of, it's a hypothesis that has not been tested or seen yet. Off exchange YouTube like button. Houston, rocking the same shirt. I bought a Bang Bang circa 2001. Go to the club. Exit New York. Toof. This is a clubbing shirt, man. And girls, they love to pet it. It feels so good. And of course, my scroll just reset. Okay, here we go. Shane Jansen, you're new to me. First time viewer. What are your thoughts on the MOAS for GME and AMC? Can you give some number proof or something that I can look at and finally say, oh, now this makes sense? Oh, well, the numbers are not necessarily something that a lot of folks can pinpoint down. All we know is that there's more shares than should exist. And there was some straightforward indicators of that, especially with GameStop. When you go back to last spring, and funds and institutions claim they owned 150 million shares of the stock. You look at Fidelity and BlackRock and whatever. The list would go on. And there's only 50 million shares they can own. So somehow they own 300% of the entire float. That's weird. That shouldn't happen, right? So that tells you right there that everyone's overextended. And then the retail ownership in just like a 2 week period on GameStop in January went from 10,000 retail investors to 900,000 retail investors in 2 weeks. And then when the price dropped back down again in February, it probably doubled or tripled again. So we're looking at a lot of people owning a lot of GameStop. Now, we have some tallies of ownership with things like AMC. Adam Aaron last spring, before one of their earnings calls, talked about how there was like 4.2 million owners of over 500 million shares of AMC. And those 500 million shares represents the entire float. So anything that's owned by institutions and funds beyond that is definitely indicator of shorted stocks. Then we get to sort of the surveys, or surveys, censuses, and we've got a couple of ways of doing indicators of that. So in Sweden, the regulators in Sweden, they tell everyone, oh, so there's 50,000 Swedes, they own this many shares of GameStop, and represents the 0.02% of all owners of GameStop stock in the world. So they go, okay, let's calculate. If Swedes are this many and they're 0.02%, blah, 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 then the float has the ownership has to be like 1 billion shares of GameStop. Well, that doesn't make any sense because there's only 50 million shares that can be owned. And then they did surveys like that in Canada and in Germany, and discovered that people in Canada appear to own the entire float. People in Germany appear to own the entire float. Then Get It Got did some surveys, some fairly scientific surveys. He did a control with Apple stock as well. We asked people, hey, how many shares do you own? Is it between this and this, this and this? And it gave us a very conservative estimate of around 1.7 billion shares owned by just Americans, right? That doesn't count the rest of the world. And usually foreign investment is 40% of the stock market. So if Americans are 60% of that load, then there's probably a lot more shares out there than should exist. So we might be looking at a billion or billions of shares claimed to be owned by people, which tells us the only way that many people can own that many shares is if they were naked shorted. And we look at the mechanics of how they naked short, and they'll do it. Market makers can really literally just type into a computer and sell. A lot of options houses can do the exact same thing. They don't have the shares in those options contracts. They're selling them naked. And then they can do weird stuff with ETFs where they create these nakeds by splitting the ETFs apart and pulling the shares out and selling those. And then they do these weird equity swaps where the market maker will create a bunch of naked shares and sell them to do a short attack. But what's happening is there's a hedge fund that's renting that basket of shorted stocks from the market maker. And that way, the market maker doesn't have to report the naked sales. The hedge fund doesn't have to report the naked sales because the hedge fund never made the naked sales. And it's becomes this like increasingly obtuse Rube Goldberg machine of liability. And when you get like millions and millions and millions of failure to delivers, rather than going out and buying that stock, they've got a loophole where they can take their debt in this stock and they can trade it with another hedge fund who has the same type of FTD. They just swap sides, and by swapping, they assign new ownerships to those things, and it resets the entire FTD cycle. So we're sitting on probably a lot of shares out there that shouldn't exist, and when hedge funds finally get vaporized and they've got to close out their positions, that's when we're going to see the forced buying. And when we see the forced buying happen, the price is just going to skyrocket. And that's how we can look at hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars a share because of all that forced buying. And hope that worked for you. But thanks for jumping in there, Shane. Welcome. Welcome to Houston With a Problem. And my weirdos, they're constantly wishing me a happy birthday. Oh, Houston, can you turn down the chime alert, por favor? The chime alert makes sounds? Does it? I have no idea. I can't hear it, so I don't know how to turn down the chime. If I click on that, global alert delay. Browser advanced. I have no idea. That just tells me how to slow it down. How does it make sound? Anyone know? I have no idea. I have something to do after the show. I'm sorry. I have no idea how to make the chime not make sound. That's new to me. I wasn't realizing it was making sound because I don't have headphones on or anything. Sorry, I'll figure that out. But thank you, Iggy Limon. Could someone normal here start a midday live stream for me? I mean, I kind of do midday the other part of the week, depending on how much crap I gotta get done. I try to make it, just after market hours, right before market closes if I can. But until I can make this a full-time job, I gotta do other things for work as well. But if you guys get me like 100,000 followers, then we're perfect. We are absolutely golden and can do this forever. Does Houston hold Shiba? Not anymore. I sold my SHIB and I bought Saitama with it, and then I doubled in 24 hours. I doubled my holdings in that. So I think Saitama does their launch on their first exchange tomorrow. They have this big event in Las Vegas. I was invited to go down there and shoot down there, and I couldn't leave school and go do that. So they didn't give me enough heads up. They gave me a heads up like a few weeks. I could have gone and done the whole thing down in Vegas at the Wynn or wherever they are. But next time they get me on the radar, earlier, I can go down there and do that stuff. But I don't have any SHIB at the moment. I had been holding for when it gets launched on Robinhood, but I was looking at that Saitama. People mentioned it to me, and I was like, why not? If people are talking about a whole bunch, then there's going to be a whole bunch of, it's a fad. People jump in this fad and it goes, woohoo! And if you get out up here somewhere, you're good to go. And I will totally do that all day long. I'm only 20 minutes behind in the chat right now, so we're good. We're good. Houston, who killed Tupac? My guess is someone from Biggie's crew, right? All right. I don't understand why the East Coast West Coast thing ever happened. Just enjoy each other's music, man. There's no need to have these squabbles. Board Gamer, do you think Puerto Rico will ever become a state? Yeah, I think there's a good chance. And I think, if anything, whether they're states or not, they still need to have representation, like actual functional representation. Is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see every territory of the United States become a state. So you have Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, Saipan, Guam, American Samoa, so on. And they each become a state. They each get senators. They each get members of the House, whatever. And then you change the apportionment of members of the House to one House seat is whatever the smallest population is of a state. So if the smallest population is, I don't know, Virgin Islands, 130,000 people or whatever, then every single state gets one representative for every 130,000 people. And yeah, it'll balloon the House of Representatives from 435 to, probably 1,000 or so reps. But it will finally even out representation in this respect across the population, which was the entire point of having the House of Representatives. When the Constitution was written, it was expected that you'd have one rep for about every 30,000 people, which would result right now in a House of probably 10,000. We'd have a football stadium as our capital. So we don't necessarily need to have it that small. That was when this country was really rural and the population was very low. And, Philadelphia was our biggest city at 50,000 people. Now we've got neighborhoods that have more people than that. So I think that, we need to change with the times, and we need to be able to get representation for these folks. Because when natural disasters hit places like Guam or Samoa or Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico, there isn't the federal response that there would be if they did have representation. And so, post Hurricane Maria, Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico have been in dire straits the entire time. And they're Americans just as much as we are, except they don't have anyone that they can vote in their favor. So, it also gives it gives you Americans a tax shelter. If you want to move to Puerto Rico, you no longer pay federal taxes. So that's one thing they got going for them. If all of you, right before you have your giant winnings, move to Puerto Rico, you won't pay taxes on spit. So you got that going for you. So, maybe we'll get our investments in Puerto Rico by having a whole bunch of ape billionaires move down there and improve the infrastructure for everyone, because they want to be able to race their Lamborghinis on roads that work well, and they want to be able to watch their big screen TVs and not have to worry about the power shutting off on them. Maybe that's the paradise that Puerto Rico will get. Hey, buddy, what are you doing? What are you doing down there? You're just staring at me. You're just staring at me, bud. Come on, get up there. Get up there. Let's see here. People talking about Safe Moon in there. Then there are people saying Safe Moon is done for. So if people are saying a crypto is done for, it's probably done for. You want to look for the really excited 17-year-olds making YouTube videos about a crypto coin, because then it's going to be the next fad and everyone's going to buy into it. That's kind of what I've concluded. Use the shirt's the next crypto spike. The Pelosi family does keep adding AMC. That's one bullish thing you got for AMC, is that if you trade like a congressperson, you're going to be rich. Like above, at the beginning of the show, people were asking about Republicans proposing that we legalize marijuana. Well, guess what they did a year ago? All those Republicans dumped a bunch of money into weed stocks. So they've been sitting on them for a year, crafting this bill, and they want this stuff to skyrocket. That's what they got. So these guys are in it for themselves, and if you trade like them, you're going to make money. Sparky's asking the GMG ticker. It's on the Toronto exchange. It's GMGFM. Graphene Manufacturing Group, something. They're based out of Australia, but they're traded on the Toronto exchange. And I wouldn't doubt if they get a NASDAQ listing or something in the near future. Drive with Valerian. Houston, how do you get your hands on 0.000001 coins that are not listed on the exchange? I'm new to crypto, made good money on Doge and Shiba, but I'm going to miss Saitama because I don't know how to buy it. You have to use a swap. So you get like Ethereum into a crypto wallet. So I've got a couple crypto wallets, but the easiest one that works on my phone is either Loopring or Coinbase wallet. And there's a browser inside your crypto wallet if you like using Coinbase, and you hit that browser and you can open up swap exchanges on the browser, and they'll automatically connect to your wallet. And then you search for the coin you want and you trade your Ethereum for that ERC20 token or whatever it is. When I was trying to get Saitama, the big one is Uniswap, and Uniswap for some reason was trying to sell me Saitama coin for $81 a coin. Now this is a coin that's worth, it's like 8 zeros and then a 1. No, I'm not going to pay $81 per coin for this. So I ended up using ShibSwap to do it, and I got my 14.5 billion coins or whatever it is that I've got in there. And so getting them before they're brought onto an exchange gives you the ability to get them really cheap. So that one wallet that had gotten the $5.7 billion in Shiba Inu, and they bought a year ago on one of those exchanges for equivalent of about $8,000 in Ethereum. So that's a pretty good investment to go from 8,000 to $5.7 billion in a year. I think is a pretty good trade-off. Not too shabby. Brian Romero, GMG and Meta are plays I'm going after. Moas, smart or no? I have them now. I have them as my long plays now. So I think getting more of them probably wouldn't be such bad. I probably will if I have more cash. Get more of them if I can. My guess is that we'll see some spikes in like GMG between now and about 2 years from now. But when their factory is done and they start producing actual batteries, I think that's when we're going to see, they're going to start making, hey, we sold 1 million units of batteries. Hey, we got contracts with Tesla and Ford to provide batteries for them. Oh, we're now making all the batteries inside of Samsung and Apple phones. You'll start seeing reports like that, and that's when the prices are going to just keep going. Daphne Berry. Hi, Houston. So when is your real birthday? Should I tell people my real birthday? It was sometime near when I started the show. I can tell you that much. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. I'll tell you what. If you guys keep wishing me happy birthday, I'll tell you when you get it right. How about that? I had a friend who she's the same birthday as like her dad or something, and she's like, "We had the same birthday. Like, what are the odds of that?" I said, "About 1 in 365," and she was like, "Yeah." There's a really cool experiment you can do. It's great. When I taught my life math course for the Art Institute, we went into probabilities and we talked about how probabilities work. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with like doing the math or anything, but there's a really interesting trend that happens almost 100% of the time. That if you can get 30 people in a room, there's a close to 100% chance that at least 2 of them share the same birthday. And so I would do this class for like 5 years in a row. I'd say I'd talk about it. I'd show them the math on the board, and everyone's like, "Oh, bullshit, that's not right." And I'm like, "Okay, who here is born in January?" And one person raised their hand. I'm like, "Who's born in February?" 2 people raise their hand. I'm like, "Oh, you, February 9th. You, February 15th. All right, who's born in March?" 3 people raise their hand. "What are you? March 22nd. And you? March 22nd. Boom. Every single time. It's a probabilistic law. If you can get 30 people in the same room, there's an almost 100% chance that 2 of them are going to share the same birthday. So in our chat right now, we've got 348 people. So it's very likely that upwards of 10 of you in this room have the same birthday. Pretty freaky, huh? Weird. Matt Newton, coming in late. So sorry if it's a repeat, but Gherkin shit on the NFT theory. Wanted to get your take. My DD doesn't match his on NFT. Happy birthday, NFA. Well, I don't agree with Gherkin's assessment. I think he's right about GameStop creating a marketplace for games and skins and XP and whatever. But I do think there's also going to be an NFT dividend of some kind, because that's going to be the splash maker. That's going to be the thing that makes news and makes hedge funds quake. And I think that's the real reason why the GME report by the SEC was written in the way it was. Because what originally pissed me off about the report was they didn't dig deep and they didn't do an investigation. They took the word of the hedge funds and the market makers and said, "Hey, they said they closed. Here's the data." And the data showed there was no possible way they closed. And but they're like, "Hey, they said they closed. Then they closed, right? So there's no way this could be naked shorted anymore, because they said that it's not naked shorted. So there's no way it could be that way." And it really gives the opening to releasing a dividend by GameStop that can't be seen as manipulation in the market, which is what Overstock got sued for. Was the short hedge funds said, "Hey, they shouldn't be able to release a dividend like that because it was obvious manipulation against short hedge funds." But the court ruled, so what? Like their job as the shareholders and to keep that price as high as possible. You guys took on the risk, therefore you have the risk of losing out on a dividend like this. So I think it's yeah. Okay, everyone get listing their birthdays in here now. See, we already got doubles in there. You guys are so goofy. Now what are the odds of you all having the same social security number or mother's maiden name? All right. But I think that's the thing about the NFT dividend is that it's diabolical and it's been proven to work. So why not do it again? Right? I like it. I like it, the possibility of meanness. Board Gamer S. Gurk also said he's spending 9% of his money buying Feb 18th contracts on November 19th and the rest on weeklies. You think you're doing the same thing? Along those lines, possibly, or something close. I don't have as much cash to play with as Gherkin does. So my options is Paquito compared to his. But I do like the plan. I like the idea, and it's gotten me thinking of how to clear up some cash here and there to make it work. But the amount of money he's talking about investing is he sees if it works out the way he thinks it will, is that he'll take whatever his investment is and he'll 10x it, 20x it, 30x it, and get $5 million in the end. Wouldn't be too bad. Yes, Drive Valerian. If you want to get Saitama, you have to get Ethereum into a wallet, into a crypto wallet, and then connect that wallet to a swap of some kind, to Uniswap or ShibSwap, and then you take your Ethereum and you find the coin you want to trade it with, and you click yes, and then it tells you how many coins you're going to get, and you go okay, and you just pass that will on to the electrons and hope that you actually don't lose all your money and get something in return, or you bought the correct coin and not a fake one, and then you're hosed. Comfy Sofa, Houston running on an hour behind. So going on what Pickle said the other night, if we miss this 2-month window with GME, could we be here another year? I hadn't thought about that. Possibly. But remember, we had some huge run-ups in March and in June. If one of those run-ups gets away from them, I don't think there's a hedge fund in the world that can survive above $500 or $1,000 a share for GameStop. That puts the liabilities just so huge that I don't think the cash is available to take care of that stuff. And we still have a lot of nefarious precipices that much of the market is sitting on. We've got a worker shortage. We've got a supply chain problem. We've got a foreclosure and eviction crisis. We've got a commercial real estate crisis because a lot of people aren't going back to the office, so people aren't renewing leases for office buildings. We've got infrastructure issues, which may have tempered a bit with the recent passing of the infrastructure bill. We've got the Chinese debt crisis. We've got a corporate debt crisis. And we've got one hell of a margin crisis. There's so much being traded on margin right now that no one has the cash available to cover it. It's borrowed money on top of borrowed money on top of borrowed money on top of borrowed money. And you have all these hedge funds trading at 30 times their actual holdings. You've got crypto groups that can trade 100 times their actual holdings. It's just borrowed money on top of borrowed money. And we got more retail investors trading on margin than we ever did before. So margin has doubled in the last 18 months over what it was before, and it's the highest ratio of margin trading in history. And the last time we had something even remotely this high was before the 29 crash, when banks took everyone's savings and they bought stock with it. And the stock market collapsed and everyone lost their savings, which is why we've got the FDIC insurance now. But these insurance payouts were never meant to pay out like everybody. They were meant to pay out, a few here, a few there, and we can start to get into trouble like AIG had with the mortgage loan crisis. Is that there's $1 trillion in mortgage-backed securities that are going belly up, and AIG never had the insurance. Like they never expected that every single solitary one of these mortgage-backed security funds would go belly up. They thought maybe this one might or that one might, and we'll pay that, we'll pay here. And all of a sudden they had to pay out for every single one of these things. It never occurred to them that kind of collapse would happen. And it's, as I've said before, like your car insurance company, whether you're Geico or USAA or Liberty Mutual or whatever, they do their math on, okay, there's gonna be this many accidents each year, and we can afford, if we make our premiums this, we can pay for this many accidents. We're cool. They're not set up to take on every single car in America having a crash accident all at once. That would just bankrupt every insurance company, and that'd be it. There will be no more insurance companies. They'd all be bankrupt and gone. So we are kind of at that point with how much margin there is in the market that the banks and prime brokers, if assets under management collapse and what's traded on margin explodes, the liabilities on that margin explode, then no one can cover all this stuff. And that will be some huge problems. And then the final one is the debt crisis. We've got 3 weeks-ish, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks for the U.S. government to figure out what to do with the debt crisis. Because, again, like Janet Yellen's like, you have until December 4th to renew this thing. And if you don't, the entire economy collapses because everyone's assets under management depend upon U.S. government bonds. And if U.S. government bonds are worthless, then everyone's assets under management go poof, and then their margin explodes, and everybody gets liquidated, and the entire economy collapses, and we're doomed. So, yeah, I forget how I got on this rant, but, oh yeah, you're asking about if we miss this, could it go on for another year? I mean, it could, but there's just so many weird things happening that something's got to give at some point. Going through here. Sorry. Going through the questions. And of course resets. It always resets on me. And then we got a lot of scrolling to get through everyone's birthdays here. So, birthdays. You got 21st, April, December. There are 366 birthdays. It's true. Because there are February 29th people. Hey, buddy. I had a teacher in 5th grade who was born on February 29th. He was technically younger than everybody else because he only had 7 birthdays or something. 8 birthdays, somewhere around there. You guys and your birthdays. Christmas is a pretty bad birthday. I had a cousins born on Christmas, Noel and Noel, and their names are spelled the same way. The twins. Speaking of weird odds, I worked with 2 sets of twins. They were sisters, right? So these twins are sisters with each other, 2 years apart, all on the same birthday. That's messed up. And that also made it so her mom was like, we're tying those tubes. I am never doing this again. Okay. I think a store's reward card as a crypto dividend would be friggin' brilliant. Think about it. Like, GameStop gives away $25 gift cards or something to everyone who has their company shares. Yeah, they're giving away a lot of money, right? But if there's many naked shorts as we think there are, then that means the short hedge funds have to go and buy $25 gift cards for all those naked shares that they generated. And that's a lot of cash that's going to be going back to GameStop. I think it's pretty devious to do something like that. Saitama is releasing their own app tomorrow. Yeah, it's their big release date tomorrow. So I think they're gonna go a little zoom for a while until they're no longer the hot new thing, and then they'll be on to the next weirdly named meme of a meme coin. Because think about it, right? We got Dogecoin was a meme coin, and it went, whew, and then Shiba Inu was a meme on that meme coin, and it went, whew. Now we've got Saitama Inu is a meme on a meme coin. This is the true metaverse. This is where we're getting actually meta, is that we are getting memes inside of memes inside of memes inside of memes. And now we've got a whole range of these like Japanese town Inu coins that are popping up. And I was joking with my friend that we should mint some and name them after weird British towns like, Fartsburg or whatever. And, but call them Innit coins. It's Groff Demkram Innit. And make that a coin. And just name a whole bunch of weird town coins from England. And then he's like, let's do Swedish ones. We just name coins after like things out of the IKEA catalog. Because you can mint these things for nothing. Put them out there. Billy, Illy. Need to get Marcel, Boss Blunts back on here to talk about the margin issues. Yeah, Boss and I might do something next week. I gotta figure out. I'm doing an interview with the high school kid again. I think next week. Shoot, I forget what date he told me. I think the 17th is when we're gonna try and do it. So I think next Wednesday we'll be doing one. So I'll find if there's some spot for Boss Blunts in there. I like to have him on. And now that I can host people, I can start bringing in all sorts of folks and doing interviews, and hopefully maybe I can do interviews with people that are outside the financial world and we talk about cool stuff. I'd be all for that. Okay. Oh, of course the chat resets again. If I scroll too far, it just goes and then I miss where I was in the chat, and that is really annoying. Rusty Nail, I want to see someone take out an unsecured loan and put it all on a weekly option way out of the money and hit. That's where legends come from. Oh, man. That's not the plot of Uncut Gems, basically. Yeah. If you are a government person with some insider information, you took out just a giant unsecured loan and just put the bag on something that you know is going to strike because you're making some sort of law, making some sort of contract or whatever, that'd be the way to do it. You'd probably go to prison, but you'd be a legend when you did it. Sorry, there's some weird animal making weird noises out my window. Sound like ducks having sex, but close to my house. Oh yeah, inflation. Sorry, cough burp. I totally forgot inflation. Inflation is the longest string of inflation we've had without having a recession in the last 30 or 40 years. I think the last time we had this many months. Oh no, I don't think we ever had this many months of inflation in a row without having the economy go. So this is, there might be inflation involved, but I think a lot of it has to do with supply and demand issues, and involved in the supply chain is that there is a dearth of product that we have available, and that's causing prices to rise due to that scarcity. So it's not necessarily, inflation itself. I think there is a fundamental mechanic behind it with the supply chain issues we have. And, we're seeing other ports pop up and saying, hey, you don't have to go to Port of Long Beach. You can come to Oakland. You can come to Olympia, Tacoma. You can come to Portland. You can offload your stuff here. We got some space. So there might be some stuff along the West Coast as these ships spread out. But then some of these ships might not have the fuel or food to do it. They've been waiting for so long that, their ships are empty. they have no more fuel to burn, and they might not be able to make that trip from Los Angeles to Seattle, and they can't get into port to free fuel, so they might be stuck. Oh, you like the president's name? I saw the Valerian movie, and I read one of the comics once. The Valerian movie, comics I like more. The comic I read I like more. Okay, well, it's 8:45. Got about 15 minutes or so for late night, after hours. I may come on even later night and do some Twitch streaming with GeoGuessr, because I do like doing that. So you guys might catch me again, or might catch the Euros when they wake up. They can do some Saturday morning GeoGuessr with me. Highest gas price. All right, Cindy Ogden Ape is asking highest gas prices in your area. I paid what? It would have been $3.95, but with Safeway rewards points, it was like $3.65. So about $4. Texarkana had $9 a gallon? What? In Texas? No, the Texarkana is Oklahoma? Where's Texarkana? Somewhere near there. $9 a gallon? What the hell? Are you sure it wasn't like, I don't know, Dom Perignon that was pouring out of there? Erox is guessing my birthday there. You got 366 guesses. Oh, you guys are so goofy. Valhalla Inu, yeah. I'll see you in Valhalla. Online, of course, in our AR glasses. Johnny G. Diamond Hands, I'm glad you liked the Pi-Fi interview. He's a smart dude. Yeah. It's my stalker, not ducks. Meatball coins. I mean, they've got coins for everything. They've got weird coins that are named after like professional soccer teams that have weird spikes. You know, your Barcelona FC or whatever, and the coin's worth $4 a coin. You can make coins by anything. You can mint any type of coin you want. What I may have to like start figuring out a way to get Problemo coins on a Uniswap. That might be what I have to do. I wonder if I can. So I can get on a Uniswap and it passes around, and then I can I don't know. I'll figure that out. That's one of those projects maybe over Christmas break I can actually work on, because it doesn't seem like Ethereum 2.0 is ever going to happen. Most expensive stupid thing I've ever done was 120 in a Maybach limo. That's expensive, and that's fast in one of those big giant like 8,000 pound beasts. So man, yeah. Does Real Madrid have a coin? I think they do. I think all those soccer teams have coins. What's the most expensive thing stupid thing I've ever done? My camping trailer. My camping trailer was an expensive giant pile of shit. And if you're buying a Flagstaff camping trailer, don't. It's a piece of dog shit. It's garbage. That is a 10-year expense that... I got this badass lifted off-road pop-up tent trailer, and everything in it is just a broken, peeling, cracking, dented hunk of garbage that none of it works. The only thing that seems to work are the shocks, and that's about it. Everything else just snaps and breaks off, and I cannot wait to like just get rid of that thing someday. Ugh, it's the worst. Yeah, don't buy a Flagstaff off-road camping trailer because they're not actually made to go off-road or to be used or to camp in, whatever. It's just, you make garbage, Flagstaff. I'm going to tell you that much right now. Have you ever been in a DeLorean at 88 miles an hour? I've only sat inside a DeLorean at car shows, never actually driven in one. I tried buying one. I got outbid. There was one with a salvage title that had been restored and rebuilt and ended up selling for like $8,000, but I only had like $6,000 at the time. So someone got a screaming deal on that. But yeah, I totally drive a DeLorean around. Maybach limo weighs 11,200 pounds. Holy cow. It's a juggernaut at those speeds, man. Holy smokes. Oh, we got fuel shortage going on in Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee now. Yeah. Marriage is expensive. Get that prenup, especially if you're going to be .com millionaires here soon. Get that prenup. Okay. I don't know if I might be at the bottom of the chat here. Did I miss people? I may have missed people. I can scroll up and see if I can find some in there. Because we got a little bit more time till it's my 9 o'clock hour and I turn into a pumpkin. July 4th birthday. I dated a girl with a July 4th birthday. Yeah, my dad got married to my stepmom on July 4th, so he could actually remember his anniversary. Pretty smart idea. Although I did have friends get married on July 4th, and it pissed me off because it's my favorite day of the entire year. I love July 4th. July 4th here is just, the weather's great. We have a street dance with a bunch of rock music and fireworks on July 3rd. July 4th, in the morning, we got pancake breakfast. I play the baseball game. I march in the parade. And then I go home and get my house ready for the 4th of July, which is the world's greatest barbecue, where I have 400 people come over to my house. They're playing in bounce houses and slip and slides, and I'm flipping them burgers from about 4 p.m. until around 4 in the morning. Sometimes you got live music or DJs. All the neighbors are there, and we're just rocking hard and partying. And then go to bed and do it again next year. I love the 4th of July. And the fact that I had a good friend of mine have a destination wedding on the 4th of July really pissed me off. And I told him, if they ever get divorced, I'm going to murder both of them. Because you ruined my 4th of July in 2016, and I will never. You have to stay married. I think it's okay. They know that they're tempting fate if they do have marital troubles. If you're going to do a wedding on the 4th of July, it better be at my house, because I'm never going to cancel that 4th of July party except for COVID pandemics ever again. You don't need roads at 88 miles an hour. Salmonella, I missed you. Missed me. Have you have chat in there? Salmonella. Okay, Matt Newton, Daphne, Brian. Did I miss a salmonella chat? And if I did, I can't see it. Stupid chat stops renewing. There's Brian Romero. Salmonella. Sorry, ask your question again. I'll try to get in there. BW brand, I'm rebuilding a Cat 397 at work. Thing weighs 12,000 pounds, no fluids. What's that going in? Like some sort of excavator or container ship? Global relations. Where can I get Saitama Inu? You can get it through one of the swaps through a wallet, ShibSwap or Uniswap or something. Drive of Valerian Houston. Have you seen the MMTLP projections on YouTube and Reddit around $30 to $54? No, I had not seen that. I thought $10 to $20 was like awesome, but the value of oil keeps going up, which makes the value of the oil fields worth more. So last year when Torchlight was in trouble, that was COVID had hit, oil prices plummeted, people weren't traveling, weren't driving anywhere, so the demand just vaporized, and oil prices dropped, and the price per barrel dropped to what, $20 at one point, and the oil fields that Torchlight had were only profitable, I think, at like $50 something. So that's why they did a merger with Metamaterials. Like, hey, man, you guys need a NASDAQ listing and we need to get the hell out of the oil industry because we're dying. And so they made this whole plan. Like, okay, those Torchlight shares become Metamaterials shares. We'll be married and we'll just sell off all your oil assets and that will be a special dividend for all the shareholders. Everyone's happy and schmappy. Oil prices started taking off again because people started traveling. Saudi Arabia has turned off the faucet, causing a shortage of supply, making the price go higher. And all of a sudden, all those oil fields that they had that weren't profitable, oil's trading at above $80 a barrel, and now they can make huge profits off those oil fields. So the value of those things have just gone up exponentially, where it went from last December, they're expecting $1 a share, right, for those oil fields. That's about it. By the time the merger happened, it was $10 to $20 a share is what the value of those oil fields were presumed to be. And I guess now 30 to 54. Holy crap. I don't know if they'll find buyers or if they'll just roll over into another oil company and new shares. Because if they don't give us cash by 11:59 p.m. on December 31st, then by law has to roll over, those preferred shares have to roll over into shares in a new oil company. So they did filings for an oil company, and we're waiting to see if they get the buyer, then we get the cash. If they don't get the buyer, then whatever. But I've got my 1,000 or so MMTLP shares. I'll gladly take $30 a share on that sucker. Finally get a new engine in the war rig. That thing needs an engine. But every time I get cash, I take that cash and I buy some stock with it, and I don't fix the engine. Yeah. All right. Beans Brigade Gaming says, Houston, about the chime. You can find the sound settings in your audio board if you're on OBS or Streamlabs. Okay. Intro is there. I don't see it. I'm going to have to do this after the show because I don't see it. Yeah. Video capture device. Input capture. Yeah. I don't see it on here necessarily. Next time there's a chime, maybe I can see one of these things wiggle. But I don't see it on this one necessarily. Cough burp. What was the coin you mentioned earlier? Talking about Saitama Inu coin. That's the new fad everyone's jumping on. I mean, I can see this morning between catching the ferry, getting on the bus, and getting to school, my Saitama went up like $600. It was up a little bit. It's holding steady. So, I'm staying at basically doubled my coin holdings in 24 hours. I'll take that. Not bad. Kirsten Moore, thank you so much there, my man or my lady. My lady? Thank you. My person. Marcinelle asks, how can oil field value go up if the government wants to stifle production here and shut down pipelines? Are those fields overseas or here? They're in Texas, I believe. There's already pipelines that exist in Texas and trucks that take everything. So, yeah, Texas doesn't care. Texas does whatever it wants because there's basically no regulations, which is why the power grid's unstable all the time. Yeah. It's an old V12. It's a BW brand saying it's old V12. It goes on a boat. They also put them in trains. It's a big boat if you're having a 12,000 pound engine. Big old diesel. Holy smokes. All right. What we got in here, folks? Is that it for the night? We seem to be slowing down a little bit. It's 9 o'clock on my side. I have to go actually get a late dinner because I haven't eaten yet. And monkey butt. Hey. Hey, monkey butt. Do you want to say goodbye to everyone? You want to say goodbye? Do ya? All right, just getting down anyway. All right, everybody. That's it for me. You might catch me on Twitch maybe later tonight. I might do a Twitch stream and do some GeoGuessr in an hour or two. So you might see me on there and you can ask me some more questions. I don't know if anything pops into your head. Yeah. Well, there we go. All right, everyone. I'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. And here's your present. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.